Hello and welcome back to MTS. In this video, we will be covering archiving, which utilize the following commands: tar, zip, and gzip. We are going to discuss how to archive a file or directory, how to look into the archived file or directory, and how to unarchive a file or directory. So let's get straight into it. The first command we're going to cover is tar. As mentioned in previous videos, you can always take a look at the help menu to see available arguments you can run with the tar command. So common arguments used in the tar command will be C to create an archive, Z to compress the archive, and the compression in tar uses the gzip compression. V stands for verbose, which displays the progress of your command, and F, which creates the archive file name. We have the X argument, which extracts the archive. Those are the commonly used arguments with the tar command. You would use the tar command to archive a directory. So if you take a look in the root user's home directory, we are going to archive the directory called new_dir. The syntax for the command is tar with the arguments. We want to create a tarball. We're going to use the v argument to display the progress of the archive. And we're going to use the f argument to create the file of the archive. After the arguments comes a file name that you want to create, and it must end in .tar. So let's just call this new.tar. And we specify the directory that we want to use to create the archive. In this case, is new_dir. The verbose argument shows exactly what was put into the tarball. These are all the files that were placed into the tar. We clear the screen and we take a look at our directory. We see that the archive is listed here as new.tar. I mentioned earlier we can use the Z argument to compress the archive using the gzip compression. That command would be tar minus C to create it. Keep in mind these arguments must not be listed in any particular order. So C creates the archive, V verbose displays the progress to the screen, Z will compress the archive using the gzip compression, and file will create the archive file. So this one we're going to call new.tar.gz. Since we are compressing this tarball, we must add the .gz extension to the file. Then the directory that we want to tar, which will be new_dir. So we get the same verbose output. And if we take a look, now we have two different tarballs, and the compressed one is smaller than the uncompressed tarball, 480 kilobytes to 89 kilobytes. If you ever come across an instance where you want to look into a tarball, you would add the T argument. Clear the screen. So the command will be tar minus T to view the tarball. We want to print the contents to the screen, and it's a tar file, and then we list the tarball file. We'll just use the new.tar file. And it shows us the permissions, owner, size, date, last modded, and file names in the tarball. If we execute the same command, tar minus tf, and we do not issue the verbose argument to print to display the contents to the screen, you will still get a display, but not all of the information that was present with the verbose argument will be there. In this case, it doesn't give us the file and directory owner or the permissions on the file and directory, but you still get to see the files and or directories that are listed within this tar. And this command will also work on a tar.gz file. The next archiving command we're going to cover is the zip command. The zip command compresses multiple files into one compressed or zip file. Let's take a look into our home directory. We're going to navigate into the new directory. We're going to navigate into the sysconfig directory. Within this directory, we have several files that we can use to compress. So let's say we want to compress all of the files that start with the letter A. Or let's say we just want to compress these first 4 files. The command to zip a file is going to be zip with the file name that you want to create for the zip file. So let's just call this file file.zip. And then the source files that you want to zip, which are the files that you are going to add to the zip file. So we have the Anaconda file, we have the ATD file, we have the auth config file, and we have the auto TFS file. So these 4 files will be added to this one zip file. So it tells us right here is adding these files that were deflated or shrunk down in size. And if we take a look here, the zip file is created right here. So let's just move this back to our home directory. So now we have the zip file in our home directory, and it contains those 4 files that we named in the previous command. So to view the contents of our zip file, you have to use the unzip command. So if we execute the unzip command with the help menu, we can see we have an example of how you can use the unzip command. We have a list of arguments we can use. We're going to pay particular attention to the L argument, which lists the files within the zip file. So let's clear the screen. So if we run the unzip minus L argument on the file.zip file, it will show us the files that we have within that zip file. To unzip the file, the command will be unzip and the file name and the zip file name. So it'll tell us that it's inflating these 4 files, and since we did it in the present working directory, those 4 files will be listed here. Those are the basics to the zip command. And the last archiving command that we're going to cover is gzip. We kind of touched on it earlier when we used the gzip compression to compress a tar file, but it can also be used to compress and uncompress a file. The gzip compression does require the .gz extension when you are using it to compress a tar file. But if you're just using it to compress a regular file, you are not required to add the gz extension. The command will automatically create it for you. Let me give you an example. So let's navigate back into the new directory. And let's navigate this time into the VMware Tools directory. So let's take a look at the vgauth.conf file. So to use the gzip compression on that file, the command would be gzip and the file name vgauth.conf. If you take a look, the vgauth.conf file is now compressed into the vgauth.conf.gz file. So typically when we create a zip of a file, the original file remain in its location. In this case, when you use the gzip compression, it actually compresses that file. So it replaces that file with the compressed file. So simply to unzip a compressed file, the command will be gunzip and the file name. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.